Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are once again back on the Updates New Power Dev server, and it's time to have a look at the STRV 122B PLSS. This is a new Swedish top tier MBT that is coming to the game in update, well, 2.0 according to this in the top, and what it is very similar to the 122. And what I mean by this is it has exactly the same armor profile right now as it, whether that's going to stay the same or not, but you can see on the hull it has 35, 280, 520, 45, and then on the turret covering the gunner, well, the commander and also the gunner, who is down here. It has two sets of composite screens, 35, 550, 650, 400, and then also this one, 40, 520, 440. You ain't killing that guy. And then it has here 35, 585, 45, and on the sides as well, you know, you have something which is 35, 230, 45, and then spaced armor on the back, which covers the first ammo stage stowage. So yeah, it's the same armor values exactly as the STRV 122. From my readings, the 122B should have some extra protection, mainly against stuff such as mines and stuff like that. So I don't think it'll be anything that really takes hold in the game, because of the fact that, you know, the majority of people aren't shooting under you. So it should be pretty similar in that it still has the same composite screens on the front, the wonderful diagonal triangles that you see, 80 millimeters thick, and also has that little weak spot right here, which isn't exactly a weak spot, but you know, you can actually get through it. The lower glacis is still going to be the weak spot of this machine, since the composite armor is a lot lower on there, and therefore you can hit, you know, some of the ammo in the back. Make sure to not take more than, well, 16 or 15 pieces for the 122B, because since the lower glacis, when you're facing stuff, is the weak spot, then people are just going to hit you and hit this ammo and make you go boom. It does have a crew of 4, meaning it does have a manual loader, so you have the driver, the gunner, and the commander, and of course the loader near the ready rack. And the engine is also the same, 1500 horsepower MTU MB838 CI M500, so nothing has changed when it comes to its mobility or anything like that. The only real difference that this machine has is this, the PLSS system, the panoramic sight which the commander uses. Now, whether this is actually going to be modeled in game as something that you can actually use, or whether it's just going to be a slightly heightened commander view, which is my guess, is is up for debate. It is actually modeled in the X-ray. It doesn't have any armor on it yet, but it does have the optics still for the gunner, 4 and then 12 times, and then the decent sight FOV, which works very well. But if that is the only real difference between the 122B and the 122, where it gets a slightly heightened commander, then I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference, especially since now people are going to be able to spot you, because all they have to do is look for R2-D2 on the turret. The other thing is the modifications are exactly the same between the two machines. Nothing changed there, so its top round is still DM33. It's a very powerful round. It's good enough to get through pretty much anything that you face, so you don't have to worry about, you know, that changing. It does also get the stock DM23, which makes the experience of spading the 122 so much easier than other vehicles at its same BR. It gets access to thermals. It gets Gen 1 gunner thermals and Gen 2 commander, which really is nice to say the least. Laser rangefinder as well. No LWS system on this, unfortunately, but maybe in the future it might get something similar. Smoke grenades as well. It gets 8 of them overall. You can see them in these little packages back here. So overall, this machine is just looking really nice. If you've never played the STRV 122, I highly recommend it. It's a really fun experience. For me, I've got this many modifications on it, and I believe oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? I believe when it comes to it, yep, the 122, I'm about plus plus 50 in it, plus 60, something like that, and that is with only half the modifications. It's a wonderful machine to play, and the fact that now there's two of them worries me greatly because of the power of just having one. One of the issues, though, with the STRV 122 is that it doesn't get really great camouflages and doesn't get a lot of them. So hopefully that is addressed at some point. Maybe it can get some slightly better ones, but you can see that it still has some nice tricolor and urban camouflages as well, which is quite lovely. So let's just run the tricolor on this, make the scale a little bit smaller so it looks kind of confusing, and then we can get into talking about the opinion side of things when it comes to the 122B PLS. So the main thing to understand is, at least in my opinion, the 122 in the game currently that's on the live server was one of the easiest spading or researching experience, because I haven't spaded it yet, but one of the easiest experiences in my life to be able to research, because it has that stock APF SDS round, because it has good survivability when it is hull down. It means that spading it is much easier to do because of those two factors. Yes, parts can be annoying to get, yes, FPE can be annoying to get, and also the APF SDS of the DM33, but only having the DM23 for such a long time, you learn weak spots, you learn where to shoot, you learn all of these different things. So it ain't too much different from just using the top one. So here is the sight, and then you can see they've put in like this FOV thing, so if you get too close to the vehicle it actually blurs everything out, and I can't tell if this sight is actually above where it normally is on the 122. I'm sure people will be able to tell, but you can see it has Gen 2 Commander's thermals on the Wally, which is nice, and then Gen 1 when it comes to the gunners. This is perfectly acceptable. Gen 2 on the commanders, so you can easily spot stuff, and then with this ridiculous turret rotation that this thing has, and then gun elevation and down, you can whip bang onto a target so quickly that it just feels nice to be able to play. The out-and-out raw speed of this vehicle also gets you around the battlefield at an absolute canter, and there is a real reason why this thing had such a ridiculous repair cost when it was on the live server, the STRV 122. Obviously this one coming in soon, I'm sure has got a lot of people happy because they want to research another 122. But at least now it'll have some more stiffer competition, with the Leopard 2A6 being added, with also the T90A around the corner as well. Also, you have a few other machines such as the T72B3 and some other ones which may make a little bit more of a difference when people come back to the machine after spading it firsthand. It also has access to MG3s, which are kind of useless against helicopters and stuff, but it's still nice that it does have some kind of extra guns to be able to mark targets and stuff, but you don't really use them too much, which is the main thing. But just like I said with the Leclerc and the Type 74, the main reason why I'm happy to see this machine is because of the fact that now Sweden has two 10.7 MBTs, and that means it can compete with some of the main nations. So instead of having to only carry in something like a standard STRV 122, you now have a backup to it, so you don't have to use backups to be able to carry. You now technically have 4 of these vehicles in a lineup if you use backups, and then on top of that you have some really fun light tanks, you have some really cool planes in the form of the Draken, and I suppose the SK now if you want to use its AGMs. The main thing is you have now what is in the works as a much more powerful lineup just because of one single addition in the form of this MBT. It's something to marvel at, the STRV 122. It definitely set the tempo when it came to top tier MBTs when it was added, and now with the PLSS as a successor to the 122B, they're both looking very spicy. The top tier meta is definitely getting shifted quite a lot, and if you didn't notice, this thing has a new engine sound as well, so you get to enjoy that. But the top tier meta is changing. There is a lot of shifts going on, but the STRV 122 will still be near the top. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Trigger Hippie, Universe, Conte Baraka, eLoveGoat, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Hans, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.